Hi class, this is Dr. Earls checking in during week 2 on our Discipleship Ministries Course 500. You're coming up on your first written assignment this week for submission at the end of the week, and you will be working on 5 of these throughout the course, so I'll be saying just a little bit more about that in just a moment. But in looking at this entire course's scope and objective, I wanted just to say a word about discipleship and the total understanding, the big picture to say of what we're going after with that. Oftentimes I was challenged in school trying to understand the Great Commission and what was evangelism, what was discipleship, and was there really a cleavage to say between the two of them. And at this juncture in my life, through all the years of experience and studies, I've come to that settled piece. You cannot divorce the two. Yes, they are distinct in their activities and methodologies at times, but always they share the same common values and call of Christ in the Great Commission. His word matatussetai is to make disciples, more properly understood in the whole context of what is being presented in the Great Commission. It's to make disciple-making disciples. So as Howard Hendricks at Dallas Seminary said to us many years ago, the fact that 2 Timothy 2:2 was the Apostle Paul's Great Commission strategy. So we want to understand when we study disciple, it's not a separate category of just building into Christians and learning better how to do that and build Christians up. It is the total scope of going after that Great Commission calling of Christ, building people, leading them to Christ, building them up in Him, sending them out for Christ. You can't, again, divorce evangelism and discipleship. It's like what Rick Warren presented in PDL, Purpose Driven Life. Evangelism leads to worshipers, and true worship leads to evangelism. Isaiah 6:8. Classic point and passage as far as scriptural example of that. So again, as we're studying through disciple making and your ultimate final project, a disciple making plan, it's always with this picture of fulfilling the Great Commission that we're going after. And so you're going to be looking at a very interesting study during this course in doing local church ministries and having small groups and understanding why Jesus had 12, why that number and the dynamics of that He was able to pour into their lives, and what that then produced in the lives of others, especially what He talks about in John 17, 19, 20, and 21, where He's praying that last prayer before His interrogation and crucifixion. He's praying for those that will become disciples out of the actions and behaviors of what His disciples that He had poured His life into and what they would do, and communicating, proclaiming the greatness of Jesus Christ and the gospel and the amazing grace that He purchased for us at Calvary, and what that does and how it impacts the lives of humans. It should result in, and His goal and vision was that it would result in disciple-making disciples. So that's where we're going in the course. Okay, first written assignment. You've got 5 things you'll be working on as you work through this first paper. All these papers must be at least 5 pages in length. Please don't go past 7. Try to aim to 5 to 6 pages in length for each of these 5 written assignments. But you're working on 5 things in this first written assignment. You want to cover the centrality of Christ. For Spurgeon, the cross was the theme of his pastor's college, and it was the theology he held up for the Metropolitan Tabernacle. So the centrality of Christ. Secondly, obedience. What does that mean in being a disciple of Jesus Christ? And then thirdly, what areas of life are to be submitted to Christ? That's almost like a no-brainer, but you want to work on what does that mean and what we are to present as far as the areas of our lives to Christ in discipleship. Fourthly, you're going to discuss the 3 stages of discipleship. You worked on that in your discussion board out of Dempsey's and Early's book. And then fifthly, you're going to explain how these three stages work together in discipleship and making disciples. So class, thanks again for being in the class. You're in a real course impact as to what our lives are about as followers of Jesus Christ, and how He wants to use each of us for the rest of our lives until He calls us home to heaven, and impacting those around us with this gospel and carrying out that great commission, making disciples that make disciples. Thanks, class. God bless you. Have a great week ahead. All right, bye.